from the All Indiana Podcast Network.
It's time for real conversation about the real issues that affect our communities.
Poverty, education, equality, and more.
This is Real Talk.
Real Talk with Reverend Charles Harrison.
Welcome to Real Talk on the All Indiana Podcast Network, and I'm Reverend Charles Harrison. And on this episode, we're going to talk about the election. The election is now over, and President Trump has won re-election and will be the 47th president of the country. What does this mean? What did the election tell us? I have two special guests today, and we're going to talk about the election. Welcome to Real Talk on the All Indiana Podcast Network, and I am Reverend Charles Harrison. And guess what? The world has not ended.
Not yet.
I guess we are expecting the world to end soon. I guess as a black person, my freedoms are numbered. My days of being free are numbered according to everyone. I want to talk today about the election, and I have one special guest in the studio with me, and I'm expecting another special guest and friends of mine. I have with me John Hall, who is former Deputy Mayor of Indianapolis under Mayor Goldsmith. He is also a member of Barnes United Methodist Church, and
Amen.
I happen to be the pastor, and
Amen.
we are good friends. He's my big brother.
Little brother.
And I'm so happy to have him here with me today as we discuss the 2024 presidential election and also the election that we will now have a new leader of the United States Senate. The House of Representatives is still up in the air. We're waiting for
Nevada went.
Okay, Nevada went. Okay, it did. Okay, so it looks like that. But I want to kind of talk about that today because this has really been a hot topic. It's been a hot topic, and let me kind of go over where we are today. And my other special guest has just walked in the studio, Annette Johnson.
Amen.
Annette Johnson, who is the Pike Township Trustee. So I have with me today, as we talk about this election, I do have a Democrat and a Republican, but my Republican guest, he is a never Trumper. Okay.
Amen.
Amen. He said amen.
It's written in the scriptures.
It's written in the scriptures. Okay. So I'm not for sure what my role is going to be here today, but we finished the 2024 presidential election. Another one has come around. So far, and all the votes have not been counted yet. I hear there may be as many as 7 to 8 more million votes to be counted. Right now, President Trump is at 73 million votes. Vice President Kamala Harris is at 69 million votes. Right now in the Electoral College, it looks like it's going to end up 312 to 326 for former President Trump. Right now in the United States Senate, we still have 2 more races to call. But right now, it looks 53 Senate seats for the Republicans, 45 for the Democrats, with 2 still undecided. For the House of Representatives, right now, the Republicans are at 216, and the Democrats are at 203. There are 6 races that the Republicans lead in and 10 races that the Democrats are leading in. So if that holds pace, then it looks like the Republicans may be at 222 and the Democrats at 213. That's kind of where we are right now when it comes to this national election. And what really fascinated me in this national elections are what were the issues that were really driving the country and what people voted on in the election. 72% of Americans were either dissatisfied or angry at the direction of the country. So that seemed to be one of the motivating factors in 2024 is that people seem to be angry about the direction of the country. The top issues were the economy, inflation, immigration, abortion were the top issues that people voted on in the election. Where there was controversy in this election, and these are signs that the Democrats really need to look at my party, because I am a moderate Democrat. I almost went to be independent, but right now I'm still a moderate Democrat. And I don't know where I'm going to be at tomorrow, but that's where I'm at right now. Right now, in this past election, 47% of Hispanic males, Latino males, voted for President Trump. Between 25 and 30% black males tended to be black millennials or black Gen Zs. And those were kind of the numbers, in this election, what was driving the election and what were the top issues in the election. So welcome, John, and welcome, Annette.
Welcome.
Yes,
Can you hear us?
Good to be here.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can hear you. Yes, it's good to be here. Let's kind of talk about from your perspective, the election. What did it say to you, and where you think we are as a nation right now, before we get into a larger discussion?
Well, I guess I could start off. Again, Annette Johnson, and I am I would say a progressive Democrat, because I really want our party to move forward in some areas that, again, you just kind of touched on, the country is really concerned about. And so I'm just more, I'm just kind of not excited about the way that the country may be going as a Democrat. I was, in Kamala's corner the whole time. I was very excited about the direction that it seems like this particular election was going when Biden decided to step down. So I'm a little concerned about what's to be upon us. It's just a lot, and we have to think about. I'm more about making sure everyone is included in this pot as far as the United States of America, and not just, the haves and the have-nots. And it seems like that's where we're leading. It's all about who has it, and then if you don't have it, then you're just kind of left behind.
Yeah, John, what's your perspective on it?
I think, Pastor, there's probably a two-tier answer for me.
Okay.
One, if I was back at Ball State, and Michael Hicks was the professor of economics, I would say to him that probably people felt like in the late 70s, early 80s, when Jimmy Carter was president.
Okay.
Inflation was high.
Right.
Interest rates was high, and they voted him out.
Right.
Based on just that particular fact. So this go around, people had gone through a pandemic. They had gone through some major labor pieces where wages were raised and prices had went high. The supply chain got disjointed during the pandemic, and prices went up. Inflation now is coming down, but I admit many people still feel when they walk in that store that there is prices of products that they need, basic products, bread, milk, cheese, that are still higher than they're used to. And that could have been or was at least one factor in this race that we just concluded.
What role do you think, both you and Annette, that people complained about all of the money that was pumped into the American economy by the government that ended up also causing inflation because of all the money was pumped in for all the projects, because of COVID and all the projects, particularly a lot of money went to inner cities, large cities across the country. And we started printing more money in order to support all of these national initiatives. Because it was basically, we saw a shift. Democrats have always been the party of the working class, always been the party of the working class. there was a dramatic shift in this election where the working class shifted to support the Republicans and Trump. And then the Democratic Party was then perceived as the elite party, which used to be the tag that was given to the Republican Party. So yeah.
Isn't that strange?
It's strange. Yes. Isn't that it's strange? Can we talk a little bit about that? What do you think?
Well, I think the deficit got a big hit when former President-elect Trump did his, was it $3 trillion tax cut?
Yes.
That was a piece.
Okay.
That began to move the inflation needle upward. Well, we go through this, then the pandemic hits, and you can't let the economy just sink. So I think the new administration under Biden came in and they pumped the prime. They primed the pump in order to keep people from being homeless, hungry. Supply chains were disjointed. And so the stimulus and a lot of money was spent. And I think it had to be spent. But yes, it caused a deficit. The piece that I think people didn't look at is the fact that inflation is now almost at 2%. And the economy is solid. You got the lowest unemployment ever. And so, I hear that people were angry. 70%, I think 72%, you pointed out, exit the polls and said, I'm angry.
Yes,
the country's going in the wrong direction.
Right.
I hear that. And I think maybe Democrats probably didn't take a focused look at those particular issues. Typically Democrats in previous years would focus in on that working class, that piece there, and try to find some policy, some direction that could be helpful. But I believe that this time, as you point out, the working class shifted. And it's a very strange move. As I said, there's two tiers of this.
There's two tiers of this. Yeah.
One is the economic piece,
right.
That brought about this disgruntled piece,
right.
And then I think we have to talk about that progressive end that Annette is with. I think that there were commercials run that just jarred the American public.
Right.
The abortion piece. The transgender piece,
right.
And the American people weren't ready to listen to that.
Yeah, because I'm a moderate Democrat, and I felt like I was without a party. I felt I was without a party. When you have issues like the woke culture, you had issues like identity politics, the whole issue with gender, with men playing in women's sports, going into women's bathrooms. Those were issues for someone like me who considered myself a moderate Democrat, a Clinton Democrat, Obama Democrat. Those cultural issues, along with the issues of the economy, for a lot of people like me, was just too much.
I think that Kamala did not address that piece.
Right.
And it should have been answered. Yes. Whether we liked her answer or not, it should have been answered.
I think with what, Pastor Harrison is saying, we as a party, Democratic Party, we focus on cultural issues more than, like you said, the working class. I think we should have really focused on the economy, how solid it is, and, the unemployment rate that is just at an all-time low. Work on those issues. Of course, we have cultural issues and people, with abortion and transgender and all that. But a lot of times, I think, when you're putting all that, when you're rubbing that all down people's throat, that will be a turnoff to the election. And so like you said, the black men, not that they don't care about the abortion issues and transgenders, but that's not something that they're going to focus on.
Right.
So when they went to that ballot box, they are going to vote for someone that can see the issues that they're more concerned about. And so we have to look at it like that. Again, Kamala, I just feel like her team, they didn't focus on those types of issues that are really at hand. How are we going to keep the economy down? How are you going to keep unemployment down? Where are the jobs going to come in? That's what, as a Democratic Party, we should be focusing on, or we should have been focusing on. Like you said, the working class. Again, it should be about, us putting that message out there. But we're all about all these other issues, and they are issues at hand. But again, I think they're more of a cultural issue than what the people that wanted to hear. And, Trump is talking about what he's going to do to make the country, greater or better. And that's what people want to hear. After that pandemic, we've already been hit with a punch we had never dealt with, a pandemic before. We want to figure out how we're going to rise up out of that. And so I just think we didn't do good on that messaging piece.
Yeah, I felt like in conversations I've had with people, the vision wasn't cast. Bill Clinton was good at casting a vision. He was good at that. President Obama was good at casting a vision, got people excited. He said where he wanted to take the country, what was his vision, and he understood the issues that were important to the American public. The party was more center left at that time, and I think that's where the Democratic Party needs to be, center left, because I think most Americans in this country are either center left or center right. That's where the vast majority of the people are. I think the concern that you have is when the extremes on each side seem to be driving the political message in this country, and Trump did a better job of moving to the center than Kamala did. I think because our party was pushing these cultural issues, and maybe she was trying to please the far left, understanding that in order to get elected, you got to be in the middle. And that's just how I felt. Now, I'm not saying that I'm wrong, but I think the results in the elections, say, well, I think more Americans thought like I did.
I think the president-elect is moving to take us off the cliff, but that's our different opinions.
Well, he may take us off the cliff, but most people will say we were going off the cliff anyway.
Okay, the piece that I think needs to be, I'd like to hear Annette's response to, is Stephen A. He was on The View this week, and his thing was that President Biden was very slow in stepping away, that he had promised that he was going to be a transition president, and he stayed in the game way too late. And so we want all of this from Kamala: response, focus, all of that. And she did what she had to do in 9 days. Where President-elect Trump, he's had 10 years to preach his message. And she's just on the scene for this short period of time.
Exactly.
So we may be too critical on Kamala.
I think so too. I think so, because you just brought up a really good point. I was a delegate for 2020, and I was a delegate for 2024. So I saw the pieces that were supposed to really be presented to the country. Like you said, Biden was supposed to be a transition president, and that we were supposed to be given 4 years. And within those 4 years, he was supposed to be working on the next person to succeed him. And I think if he had done that, we would have had a better chance at winning. Because again, where we fall short again is what you just said, Harrison. It's just a cultural issue. We were more focused on that than the things that we have been doing. Because again, Trump put us in where we are. And then Biden got us out of that. Why would you not want to stay out of that and stay ahead? I just don't see us staying ahead.
Yeah, but the issue is, y'all, before the pandemic, the country was going in a good direction. It wasn't.
It doesn't matter, Harrison. But she kept it. Biden kept it there. You could say, what if he didn't keep it there? We got to give them those points. You're right. It was going in a good direction, but the good thing is he kept it going, and that's where I am going to keep my thoughts there. He kept it going.
Well, not to the American people. 72% of the American people said the economy, the country was going. They said
they're not talking about it in that end. They're more talking about the cultural values.
No, they're talking about the country is going in the wrong direction. And here's the other issue. I
want to see what they think this time next year.
Okay,
when we're down there.
Okay,
and then they'll be coming up. Oh, well, we didn't mean it like that, because that's what the issue is. We should have just focused on what we are doing good and what is solid. And they did not do that type of messaging. And again, she didn't have enough time. Again, Biden should have. Come
on, Annette. Listen.
You're not going to tell me 110 days.
No, because the Democratic Party knew that President Biden he had dementia.
It doesn't matter.
And you kept that from the country.
It doesn't matter.
And that was the reason. It was.
It doesn't matter.
If you would have been honest about the fact that President.
He should have been honest. It's not about
who should have been honest.
Biden should have said he should have stuck to the plan. That's where we fall, and that's where we have failed.
The Democratic Party
did not stick to the plan.
Yeah, because when you saw
they believed in him, they want to give him the benefit of the doubt. That's just nature, human nature. What you're trying to do. Yes, you have.
No, that's why.
I want to see what happens this time next year with Trump.
Well, the reason the Democrats lost because you were not being honest with the American public.
That's not.
It is.
You talk about honest, and you got a felon, a convicted felon. With all these sexual harassment, all these things. Come on now.
But
a little piece of honest where he wanted to keep the throne and say, you know what? I want to keep the economy solid. I want to keep pushing it forward. Even though people were saying, Biden, we get it. You do want to do that, but let someone else do it. Sometimes
who gave the president-elect his good economy? It was Obama.
Well, he may have did, but he kept the economy.
No, may have did. He did.
He kept the economy going good. But here's the issue: we lost the election because we went too far left in this country.
Well, that's what I just said. And the cultural issue. That don't have nothing to do with the economy and all that.
Yeah, it does.
I want to see where we go from here.
It is, Annette, because what is up today than 4 years ago is
people going to do what they want to do.
Groceries
their lives.
Groceries are up. Groceries are up. Car insurance is up. Everything is up. So that if you were making $50,000 4 years ago,
misinformed voters is what it is. I worked the polls. I've been on this since January of this year. They're misinformed. They come in there. They don't even have a clue what they're voting for. They really don't. They're talking about a stimulus check. I'm like. Trump didn't give you the stimulus check. Of course, he inherited it, and he had to put his name on the dotted line. But he didn't give you I'm voting because I want that stimulus check he's going to give us this time around. We're going to see what's going to happen.
But if that's the attitude that the Democratic Party is going to have, then you're going to lose again.
No, we don't have an attitude.
If that's the attitude, listen.
That's not my attitude. You lost
25% of the.
See how we are this time next year. I don't have an attitude because at the end of the day,
if that's the attitude of the Democratic Party, you lost 25%, 25 to 30% of black male votes. We are going to see. You lost 47% of Latino votes.
We don't have an attitude. We've already agreed to do whatever we had to do to make it a smooth transaction. We don't have an attitude.
The country is not going to accept. The country's not going to accept woke culture. The country is never going to accept identity politics. The country is never going to accept transgender.
And that's what they're doing. They're doing it too now. The Republicans are doing the same thing.
The country is not going to accept that. We're not going to accept that.
I do agree with whatever.
Well, you're not going to get moderate Democrats like me to accept that. So we're going to keep. We're not
going to accept it. You can't control what people want to do with their lifestyles. We're not trying to control that. What we were trying to do is make make sure that they're not harmed.
No,
that
you
they're
was
not
pushing
no,
that.
now you want to.
You was pushing that.
No,
You was pushing that.
No, we wasn't pushing it.
Annette, that's why the election was lost.
That's not what we're pushing. That's not the reason why it's
It
lost.
was lost.
It's 100 other factors.
Okay,
Harrison.
well, I'm listening.
I gave them to you.
I'm listening.
I gave them to you because people are misinformed. They don't get it.
I got
a question.
So that the American public is misinformed, but you are informed.
I am.
So the rest of the country is
I
misinformed.
saw it for my own eyes. I had conversations with people.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Well,
go ahead.
Question is, I felt like whoever had the best ground game would win this election.
No ground game.
So I was told that the Democrats and Kamala had paid staff on the ground running that get out the vote effort. That the president-elect had evangelicals and Elon Musk was his instruments to get out the vote. Then after the election, I read that the Democrats get out the vote. They were fighting among each other.
Who was fighting? Who was fighting?
The three camps.
That's right.
Biden, Harris, and Obama.
That's right.
So if that's the case, then that outward delivery was stymied.
That's right.
That's a good point.
That's right. But that is the fact. And why was the camps divided? Let's get to it. Why was it? Because you almost had a fourth camp, which was the Clinton camp.
Whoa.
You had the Clintons, you had the Obamas, you had the Bidens, and you had the Harris. And there was tension in there.
Interesting.
Concerning the direction of the campaign that split the party.
I just think that with Obama, he had such a wonderful ground game. And, it's just like anybody running a campaign. You want to give them the tools. You want to give them suggestions. You want to say, I feel like what worked for me, I will use those same things. If it worked for me for 2 terms, it will work for you. You have a game, you have a mapped out game plan for people, and you ask them to follow this play by play, and they don't do it. And so that's one component why you lose. Obama had a game plan. He had it mapped out. He's like, this is what I'm going to give you guys. This is how you follow it. That's where the division comes in at, because think about it. I'm sitting on the sidelines like, you're not going to win. Did you not hear what this gentleman said? Use the game plan that he had. Go from there. Why are you adding all these other elements in? I mean, I do agree with you there. Adding different other components in. You're trying to please the cultural issue, and all that old stuff. Why not just follow the game plan that worked for someone that made history? Aren't you trying to make historical history like he did? 2 terms? Why would you not follow?
So who didn't follow the game plan?
I'm just saying, I just don't think people, again, in Kamala's camp understood the game plan. Again, they didn't have enough time. They didn't understand it. I just feel like if Obama's out here going across the country trying his best, and he did a lot, and you don't follow my game plan, then how are you going to be successful?
I agree with that, but I think the issue was within the party what the message was.
I said,
and which is what you were saying.
It's just not that. Just like when I'm running, I don't just have one message.
Right.
I might have failed on that one message, but I have a ton of other things too. That's why I was saying voters were misinformed. Of course, there was the issues about the culture. You want the transgenders, you want all this, but that's not the only thing that she's running on. That's not it.
But I'm a public speaker. I'm a preacher. My job on Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, is to convey the message and make sure the message is clear, so that people are getting the message. And you can tell on Sunday morning, I can tell when I'm either hitting it or not hitting it by the expressions on people's face. You
live in a different society.
And what
everybody not going to go.
And what Clinton did, what Obama did, and even what Biden did, the message was clear that attracted middle class Americans, working class Americans who were the difference in this election, and they felt like their issues was not being spoken to.
I'm just saying that you can't please everyone. Mm-hmm. Her message was to make sure everyone is included. Now, some people don't feel like everyone should be included.
Right.
That's how you feel. That's how you feel. But some people want to make sure everyone is included in the messages and the things that they're doing. If you're going to live in this country, we have to, even though we may not like that, we have to also include those.
But you can't include everybody in the message. You can't please everybody.
That's what I'm just saying.
Yeah. And I know you're saying that, but that was the piece that I was saying. You cannot give a message you're going to please the far left.
That's how I feel about
and the
Trump.
moderates.
He's not pleasing me at all. His messages, what he's putting out there, hate. You just saw that on the news today. The kids are away in college and they're getting messages. Be ready to go back to your plantation. Because hatred, we didn't talk about hatred. We talk about love, bringing everybody together. Because again, everything is about, arguments, his whole demeanor. That night when you won, he's out there pumping his fist. We're about to take over. And the people, retaliation. If you wasn't on my team, then, you're going to see what's coming for you. I mean, just...
the president-elect
fixing the country.
He pumps that fist, but remember in the '60s when Black Power was pumping the fist. So I think that the president-elect he copies that stuff.
Yeah, but the issue is, what direction is the party going in? Well, yeah, we are, like we did this last 4 years. We'll see. And it didn't work out the way that we hoped it would. What direction is the party going in? And that's where the fight's going to be, because as a moderate Democrat, I'm going to push back against this. I'm not doing all that stuff.
That's an answer for Annette.
Yeah, I'm not, as a moderate Democrat, I am not supporting that far left agenda. And I'll make my voice be heard. We need to either move the party back to the middle, or there's going to be a split in the party.
Well, it's hard to move it back to the middle when you have this particular type of generational groups and people. It's going to be hard to do that. But what do? You just don't agree with the transgender? You don't agree with... What do you do? Tell me.
But you don't have to run on...
I didn't say that.
You don't have to run on those issues.
What do you do?
They've always been there. This ain't nothing new. They're just more out public now. It's always been there.
It's the generations of people. They're different. They're not going to hide and go back and put their head in the sand. They want to.
But you don't have enough voters to win with that message, Annette.
Well, you might not, but I'm just saying it's going to be hard.
And unless you pull back the 47% of Latino men and the 25 to 30% of the black men that voted the other way or didn't vote at all, then you're not going to win national elections.
I mentioned at the beginning that there's a two-tier answer.
Right.
One was the economic piece, right? We talked about that. I just read in the paper yesterday, or it was on my phone, so it could be fake. It could be fake news. Stormy Daniels. We all know who Stormy Daniels is.
Right.
She gave a very interesting response when they asked her what happened. She said, well, you elected a lunatic. Now, I want the public to know that's not my view.
we on camera. Yeah, we on camera. Right. So this is going to be on camera.
But Stormy Daniels is supposedly, allegedly to have said, we've elected a lunatic, and the reason Harris didn't win is because she's a black woman. Right.
Now, that's what I said. There's other factors. It's just not that one.
But do you actually believe that, Annette? That Stormy could be hitting on something?
I believe it because we didn't. Hillary did better than Kamala did. As far as with this election, and she was again a white woman, and again now we have a woman of color. It's just a lot of hurdles. I think we're not ready for that. We're not ready for.
You don't think the country is ready for that?
I do.
I think the country. If Hillary would have campaigned in Wisconsin, she would have won the election. That was the. That
went to Michigan more than once.
Went to Michigan more than once. Even her husband told her that. Yeah. If she would have went to Wisconsin and Michigan more than what she did, she would have been elected president and the 45th. And she didn't. So it wasn't because she was a woman. It was because she didn't campaign in those two states.
Did you hear how President-elect talked to Kamala, though, during this campaign? You're dumb. You got low IQ. I've never heard that in a I've been involved in politics since 1974.
Jumping up and down for that, that's ridiculous. If that's how you talk to people and how you treat people.
But nobody said anything.
I mean, again, that's what
I heard Sharpton said something.
Yeah, they did. They did say something.
They did say?
They did say something, and it was on ABC, CBS,
and he kept doing it.
NBC, MSNBC,
I think it's not the point.
CNN, and people heard that, and they overlooked that because they were concerned about day-to-day issues that affected them.
The cost of bread.
The cost of bread. It's always that. Everybody run. If you're going to be a national politician and run for the presidency, it's this simple. It's the economy, stupid. That's what it said.
They've always said that.
It is the economy. And if you don't understand that and speak to that, then you're not going to be successful, particularly when the economy is bad.
That's why we were paying $1,000 a ticket to see Taylor Swift at Lucas Stadium.
The economy is bad.
Over 200,000 paid.
That's why I don't buy that.
People, but
I don't buy it.
But poor people in the hood who live in subsidized housing will pay $100, $200 to go down to see rap singers.
That's what I said. I don't buy it.
Yeah.
That's just one piece of it. They spend their money on what they want.
And then they will come to Barnes United Methodist Church on Monday morning.
50 cents.
And ask.
That's why I don't believe it. That's what I said.
And ask the church to pay their bills.
I already know. I'm in that. I'm in that.
They spend their money where they want.
That's what I said.
But then they come to us for help.
That's why I said it's not. It's not that.
You can't expect, unless you're in a socialistic country, you can't expect.
Socialist.
If you want higher wages, that's a good thing.
Yes.
But prices are going to go up.
Yes. But we asked for higher wages.
We asked for
McDonald's to pay people $15 an hour.
And
if McDonald's does that and they pay them, guess what they're going to do? They're going to raise the price of the Big Mac.
That's why I say it's going to be that.
I think Stormy might have had a point.
Yeah, that's right. And who did that? Bernie Sanders was saying, Senator Sanders was saying, we need to raise the wages.
Yes.
Okay. So we raised the wages.
We did.
So
on a lot of different areas.
On a lot of different areas. So if you want to raise it to $17 an hour, you're going to end up with less employees at the McDonald's, but you're also going to end up with higher costs because the owners of the McDonald's,
they got to figure it out too.
They're going to make their money.
Exactly.
That's why they went into business.
That's why they went into business. Yes. That's why.
But I'm leaning towards Stormy.
Yes. So where do you think it goes from here as we end? Where do you think it goes from here?
We'll see.
I think that the MAGA party has a formula now that can be successful with any candidate that they run.
I think so.
So what do you mean by that?
They have demonstrated that they can be as racist as
you can do all those things.
All the stuff, vulgar and mean.
Okay.
But get out. You're tallying up the votes now. You said that they're coming on around 75 million.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They are able, even with that message, to get out that number, and that will probably keep them in leadership. If the president-elect decides to step down, then that will keep them in leadership from now on.
So why didn't we hit 84 million like we did in 2020?
Well, you're saying you're not through.
Not through yet. So
you said they're still counting.
Yeah, they're still counting. But that's the point. We won't hit 84 million on the Democratic side we did.
Right, on the Democratic side.
We did with Biden. Why didn't we hit 84 million?
Could have been in my opinion, a part of it was the delivery.
I think it's the delivery, and it's because it's a woman. A lot of people I talked to, that just, they wasn't going to vote for a woman. They just said, no, I don't think a woman.
So why wouldn't it? So who were the people that you talked to that didn't want a woman president?
The men.
So us men said that we didn't want a woman president.
Oh yeah, I've had a lot of people talk about it. It's all over. You can hear it on social media. The men ain't scared to say it. They posted their posts. They posted why they.
This one man on.
So black men and Latino men are the reason we don't have a woman president.
I think it was white women. My whole
it ain't
bet
just those two.
That,
I mean, we can't say what it is because we don't know.
We don't know, but
we just giving out our opinions.
What percentage of black women didn't vote for her?
We'd have to look it up.
Okay.
The thing is,
I mean, they had them on. They had the women on different radio shows and talk shows, and they said they're not going to vote for her. They didn't
really.
Yep, I've seen that.
Black or white?
Black women. Black women. It was black women.
They said that. Trump had a whole section, black women for Trump. Whole section of that.
Did they give any? I mean, what was the logic? Was it the economy? They talked about
it wasn't the economy that they felt like. They felt like we're not there to make the decisions that's needed to run a whole country. You got the 50 states.
Yeah.
And they just felt like a woman.
It was too big for her.
Equipped for us to do that.
Unbelievable.
Seriously.
I heard it was what I heard in the videos. It was some of these other issues that we're talking about that they did not. They thought that she was too far left.
No, there were women that are gay.
I know.
And they said they wasn't going to vote.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear.
So they don't have nothing to do with it. They're gay.
And with the men, they talked about in California when she was the attorney general, and all of the men that she locked up when she was the attorney general, and the black men pushed back against that.
That's why I voted for her.
Yeah, that's why they pushed back. So there was a lot of issues.
Yeah, you got to. That I mean, there's different. It depends on the person.
Yeah.
And what's important to them.
But I heard one man on TV, black man, say that because of what happened in the Garden of Eden, he couldn't vote for her.
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, that's how they feel.
Yeah, what's that have to? Yeah, the Garden of Eden.
People,
yeah, well, we have women mayors, we have women senators, we have women.
We hope we'll have a woman mayor coming up in the city of Indianapolis.
But the mayor got to move, maybe because she stay in the Senate to be the mayor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It's what the people want. It's the voices of the people.
The people spoke.
Exactly.
The people spoke, and the people said, "Be in the middle." That's what the people said.
No, that's not
I think the people might have said they didn't want a black woman.
They didn't say be in the middle.
No, they did. They did. If you don't see that, then they're not going to elect someone on the far left. They're not.
If you want to elect a convicted felon on the left, I mean, seriously, that's what.
Well, I hope so, because I hope one day a black man who may have been a convicted felon can run and be whatever they want. Because the message was bad. Because then you're saying to a lot of
32 felonies. I'm sure they ain't gonna let no black man with 32 felonies be anything. I don't see that happening.
I just hope President-elect Trump runs the country.
Right.
For all of us.
I hope so too. I hope so too. Because obviously a lot of Americans didn't feel like the country was being run for them this time. Thank you so much for joining us today on Real Talk as we bring real talk about the real issues. I want to thank my guests today, John Hall and Annette Johnson, for our conversation about what happened in this election a few days ago and where the country is going in the future. I imagine that we're going to be having a whole lot of conversations between now and 2028 and the direction of this country. And we're going to continue to bring real talk about what's going on in Indianapolis and cities all across the country. My prayer is that you have a blessed and you have an awesome day today. This is Rev Harrison. Peace.
This is Real Talk with Reverend Charles Harrison.
Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast.
And be sure to check out other great podcasts on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Online now at allindianapodcast.com.